The Swift Global Payments CEO just dropped some hints about what they've been working on to service their global network of banks and institutions. And the more he shares, the more it sounds like Ripple is the key partner helping them expand and service their quadrillion dollar yearly global remittances business. This would prove to be massive for Ripple and the value of the XRP token as it's on the verge of a breakout and new all-time highs by the end of this year. So in this video, we'll be sharing exactly what the CEO of Swift shared that will provide insights into the future of banking and how Ripple will likely be a key player. We'll dive into how the Bank of International Settlements has duly confirmed that Ripple is one of the key partners to this whole global agenda. We'll dive into how the Bank of International Settlements has duly confirmed that Ripple is one of the key partners to this global remittances agenda moving forward. How Ripple is not only ISO 222 compliant, but just how important that is for their business model. And we'll also cover how Congress and their commitment to a clear crypto regulatory environment moving forward will create a golden era for tokens like XRP. So if you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777. And if you're going to be the richest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for watching these videos. We really appreciate your support. Now let's get into the video. First, we're going to start with Congress, and in particular, Congressman Tom Emmer and what he shared after Gary Gensler testified among some of his colleagues, which really just threw him under the bus the entire time. It's really over for Gary Gensler at this point. I think we all know, but it's nice to continue to get confirmation that all of Congress is uniting against him. Here's what Tom Emmer had to share recently.
In an era where bipartisanship can feel scarce, Gensler has done such a terrible job running the SEC that he has managed to unite members on both sides of the aisle condemning his failed leadership. Gary Gensler has worked to consolidate his own power, even though it means crushing opportunities and, frankly, the financial future of this country. Rogue bureaucrats like Gensler are supposed to be working for the people, not reigning over them. He has wasted a large part of the SEC's resources to wage war on the crypto industry. The strategy, however, has not been successful for him as the SEC continues to lose again and again in the courts on its crusade against the digital asset innovation in this country. It's time for the SEC to return to its mission and protect opportunities for every American who wants to participate in the greatest capital markets in the world. Digital asset innovation is an important part of that. What Gary Gensler doesn't understand is fighting against crypto innovation in America isn't going to stop it. He is only going to push crypto innovation off of American soil. This is exactly how disasters like FTX occur. The United States should want digital asset businesses under its regulatory umbrella and purview so that we have a safer digital asset ecosystem. Many people are concerned that Kamala Harris would actually appoint Elizabeth Warren or Gary Gensler to be her Treasury Secretary, which would only make matters worse. Their mission to upend free markets, innovation, and global competitiveness would destroy our financial system. We can't let that happen. America is ready for the pro-crypto president, and there's only one candidate who has promised to fire Gary Gensler on day one.
And we all know that candidate is Donald Trump, as he has promised at the Bitcoin conference he would fire Gary Gensler. And I believe everyone is taking him at his word there, considering he has no ties or attachment to Gary Gensler. Currently, Gary Gensler is under the Kamala administration, considering Biden completely disappeared and nobody knows who's really running the government. Matter of fact, on both sides of the aisle now, you have liberals and conservatives saying, who the heck is running the government? That said, it seems to be Gary Gensler over at the SEC, and he's likely going to be out at the end of this election season. Now, this crypto regulation is truly becoming bipartisan, as someone like Maxine Waters, which is typically a very left leaning Democrat, is now wanting to partner up on stablecoin regulation. And that's going to be huge for a company like Ripple with the release of their RLUSD stablecoin and using that for global remittances worldwide. U.S. Rep. Maxine Waters, the House Financial Service Committee's ranking Democrat, suggested in a SEC oversight hearing on Tuesday that she and the Republican chairman should finish a bill this year to regulate U.S. stablecoin issuers. I want us to strike a grand bargain on stablecoins and other long overdue bills, Waters said. So this is huge. It seems that across the board, they're all really on board with regulation in the United States, which is going to be huge because it's going to allow for innovation to move back into the United States. And then for the players that never left, like Ripple, but that have had to deal with the SEC over the last 4 years, are now going to be free to do business. And what makes this really exciting is the fact that Ripple is still sitting at number 7 in terms of market cap. So they are well ahead of the competition, and arguably they're in the best position possible to really take advantage of this momentum and growth. When you really look at a company like Solana, right, we're talking this is more of a DeFi ecosystem, and there are a lot of use cases, and I'm sure Solana is going to get a lot of traction. However, it does serve more of a different audience and different purposes. Then you look at BNB, which is really just the token behind the Binance exchange. So then your only last two players are Bitcoin, which is a store of value, and then Ethereum, which is really just kind of like the Amazon of cryptos. And now you have a bunch of L2s being built on there. So the only major player in the case of banking, CBDCs, global remittances, and now a stable coin outside of USDC and Tether is XRP in the top 10. So this is going to be tremendous, and it's going to be a tremendous year for all of crypto, but in particular XRP, as now it seems to be a fair playing field, and now we're going to have clarity across the board. And to close this chapter on the video, here is a great analysis of the entire interaction at Congress. My take on the SEC hearing, I have to say Gary Gensler looked and sounded like a beaten man. It was absolutely humiliating for Gensler to have to sit there and listen to his own colleagues over at the SEC rip him for valid reasons from 3 feet away. That is a punishing experience for any leader in any organization. Finally, it just keeps getting clearer that young Rep. Richie from the Bronx is a superstar in the making in the Dem Party. It is a good fortune that he happens to be a strong advocate for digital asset innovation. And again, I really don't think the majority of these people would really care unless, of course, they weren't getting millions and millions of dollars from super PACs, but it seems to be working. This is no longer a one-sided issue. Both political parties are in favor of crypto, and so 2025 is looking like a really good year. And now it's time to hear from the CEO over at Swift, Javier Perez Tasso, who became the CEO of Swift back in 2019. And what he shared is kind of jaw-dropping.
And let me a little bit elaborate on where we stand in general, the industry as a whole, and Swift, of course, in the international cross-border space. Because at the end of the day, if we really want, and I've heard it throughout the conference this week as well, if we really want to build a robust, resilient, and interoperable that is inclusive global financial industry, we do need to collaborate, private and public sector, but as well existing infrastructure with new technologies that come into the fore. It is paramount, and particularly in cross-border payments, when you think about it, they are inherently complex, because we're talking about bridging regulatory jurisdictions, bridging technologies, bridging currencies, different forms of value we see now, from digital fiat to CBDCs, and that at the end of the day requires a public agenda that is very well driven, by the way, by the work done by the G20 and the BIS. You mentioned that in the agenda, the roadmap towards improving international payments, to make them to reduce friction and to make them fully transparent, inclusive, and obviously increase the speed to the market there. And in that sense, we've been actually collaborating very closely over the past few years with the BIS there to indeed focus on this roadmap. By 2027, they have very clear targets.
Now, I want to zero in on a few things that he said. First and foremost, he said key partners are helping us to accomplish this. And when he talks about things like transparency and interoperability, all of those point back to blockchain. There are virtually no other technologies that are truly as transparent as blockchain. Now, maybe people would argue, well, criminals use it, but criminals use fiat all the time, and arguably to higher degrees, considering it's obviously there's more fiat in the world than there is crypto. However, when we talk about transparency in the crypto world, the blockchain stores everything, every transaction sent by every wallet all the time. So in general, when they talk about transparency, that's usually what they're referring to. Now, he also mentioned something really, really interesting. He said they're in close relations and working with the Bank of International Settlements, or the BIS. And you know what's really, really interesting is the fact that Ripple is working with the BIS on the payments task force. So the Bank of International Settlements announced Ripple as an official member of its cross-border payments interoperability and extension task force on August 9th. Engagement and partnership between the public and private sector is a key element of the G20 cross-border payments program. And again, there's another thing that he shared in that speech was the fact that they are working closely with G20 countries. And so when you click through directly on this post from the BIS on X, it takes you to this image right here. But below it is what's really, really interesting. This is the actual account of their partners. And as you can see, cross-border payments interoperability and extension task force composition. Right down here, we have Ripple. So Ripple is going to be a key player moving forward in cross-border payments alongside the BIS and a lot of other major players like Swift. Now, I don't think people realize the size and the magnitude, but we are talking trillions and quadrillions of dollars, considering this is a report directly from Swift on their annual review of 2023. And here is what they shared. We're a globally inclusive cooperative spanning 200 countries and territories with the equivalent of the world's GDP traveling across our network roughly every 3 days. Our community comprises more than 11,500 banks, securities players, market infrastructures, and corporates. So think about that statement, the world's GDP roughly every 3 days. So let's just assume, right, we divide 365 by 3. That takes us to about 120 times per year that Swift moves the world's global GDP. And right now we are sitting at $105 trillion. So if you multiply that by 120 times, we're talking quadrillions of dollars are being moved back and forth through Swift and their global settlements. Now, in order for them to actually accomplish this and to accomplish it at the rate that they're wanting to do it by 2027, they're likely going to need to use blockchain technology, but they're also under the ISO 20022 standard, which is the global rollout that marks a giant leap forward in the evolution of global payments as its richer, more structured data ushers in a new era of automation and interoperability, leading ultimately to increased efficiency, innovation, and enhanced customer insights. And what's so amazing about that is that Ripple and XRP are ISO 20022 compliant. This is an article back from 2020, and the technology has only improved and become more efficient since then. However, this is what they shared. We are now thrilled to share that Ripple is a part of the ISO 20022 Registration Management Group standards body, and the very first member focused on distributed ledger technology, or DLT. This membership enables us to meet the needs of our 300 plus customers by helping define the future direction of cross-border payment standards to evolve the ISO 20022 standard. By the way, they have more than that amount of customers now. This was a little while ago. And if they were in partnership with the BIS and Swift, it's going to be far more. We're talking at least 10,000 plus. And another thing that he shared in that very same speech was the fact that they are servicing CBDCs for banks. What's interesting is Ripple is doing the exact same thing. So who's to say that they haven't partnered already in some way, shape, or form and are using Ripple technology to service their customers? which would be a huge development because in 2023, they performed a lot of experiments around CBDCs, tokenized assets. Again, another thing that Ripple does, AI and trade digitization, all in support of their strategy to enable instant, frictionless, and interoperable transactions, all things that virtually no other thing does than blockchain. And in March of 2023, they successfully tested CBDC solution in a phase 1 sandbox environment with 18 central and commercial banks. The 12-week collaborative sandbox testing saw almost 5,000 transactions simulated between 2 different blockchain networks and with existing fiat-based payment systems. I would argue they're talking 2 different blockchain networks. Highly likely Ripple was one of them. And if this is the case, and this is really true, as markets start to heat up into the end of the year, things are starting to look really, really good for Ripple and XRP, the token. As they have now reached a settlement, it doesn't seem likely that there's going to be an appeal, and the price of XRP is just on the verge of breaking out above that 60-cent range. 62 to 64 cents is our next major resistance. Then the resistance after that would be 74 cents. If we break above both of those, considering we are at the very end of a 6.5-year pennant, then it's highly likely that XRP is going to break out to new all-time highs by the end of this year. Which is why if you are an XRP holder or plan to hold XRP through the end of the year, you should head on over to bullrunners.com. You can find the link in the description below. And what's so beautiful about this is that you can put your XRP to work in the very first play to earn XRP game. Yes, you can put that XRP to work, and what's so beautiful is the fact that not only does it reduce your volatility because you're earning crypto, but it also allow you to compound on your XRP bags so you can really load up before we see a new all-time high. You can do it in 3 very simple steps. Get your XRP wallet, get your game pieces, and then play the game to earn the crypto, and crypto is directly convertible for XRP. You have nothing to lose, everything to gain by simply checking it out. So go to bullrunners.com, watch these videos because they're very straightforward, they're very simple to understand, and if for whatever reason you have any questions, just reach out here on the channel or in the Telegram chat. But until then, thanks so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.